But first, to our exclusive interview with prospective Everton owner John Textor. The American businessman and current Crystal Palace co-owner has told us that he is confident a deal to buy Everton could be agreed soon, with the aim of full completion by the end of November. Textor was granted exclusivity rights last month and is hopeful an agreement will be reached with the current owner, Farhad Moshiri. The American is the fifth bidder to enter into an exclusivity agreement with Moshiri after the Kaminsky Group, MSP Capital's 777 Partners and the Friedkin Group saw their deals collapse. The deal is complex, though, as Textor owns a 45% stake in Crystal Palace, and in order for him to buy Everton, he must sell that stake.
We have two that have made what we believe are good qualifying bids, and we also still have the possibility that our partners may want it. They love the club, as much as I do. And we are now down at the final, week or two of, believing we know who the buyer is going to be. And the contract I have with Farhad, gives us a lot of time for that. There's a long stop date of like November 30th that was set to make sure that, we can, God forbid we can't complete it by then. And I do believe we can complete it before then. The documents I'm going to have with Farhad are complete closing documents, subject only to the Premier League approval. But you got to be ready by the next transfer window, because this is a time to leap forward up the table from wherever they are. And, my challenge is making sure I get in early enough to really deal with that. The opportunity to step into these situations, that you're only a caretaker. You see these documentaries of the great history of these clubs and people that have gone before you. You're never going to rise to their level, in the eyes of, the community of these clubs. Because if you get into football and you really decide you want to make it your life, and then somebody comes along and says, can you be the owner of Everton? It's like somebody asking you, do you want to be president of the United States? Of course you do. But you don't necessarily think that things are realistic. But Everton, my God, you wouldn't think that's like looking at the White House and saying, I'm going to live there someday. So when it becomes available, obviously I'm not just interested. Hopefully we can get it done, but, it'd be quite an honor.
Well, as we mentioned, Textor owns a 45% stake in Crystal Palace. Eagle Football Group also owns Lyon, Botafogo in Brazil, FC Florida in the USA, and the Belgian club RWD Molenbeek. Well, there have been reports that Textor wants to replace manager Sean Dyche with Palmeiras head coach Abel Ferreira. Now, Textor denied that he's even thought about the managerial position, but insists that Dyche will have to prove that he can work with a different profile of player he'd like to attract to the club.
Sean, I don't know him personally. I watched him at Burnley for so many years do wonders with no budget and, a challenge at the squad level. So obviously he's a guy that knows how to, coach in the Premier League. I would sit down with him and someday in the future and say, okay, I'm going to bring you a very different profile player from any corner of the world. Are you interested? Are you capable? Can you coach this squad? I like that you like the big, tough, tall Irish kid like Jake O'Brien, but do you like Igor Jesus or Luis Enrique or Thiago Almada? Does he have an ambition to coach that profile? Does he have a system that would work for, a squad which is optimized from the best players in the world? And, he would have every right to stay there. I haven't even thought about the coaching issue when I'm dealing with lawyers and contracts and PSR things. There's no fingerprints of mine on this club at this point, and there won't be until I'm the owner. I'll respect the rule.
Well, Everton plan to move into their new stadium at Bramley-Moore Docks in time for the start of next season. But Textor admitted that he'd rather stay at Goodison Park. However, he did concede that the investment opportunities at the £800 million stadium could help the club challenge for titles.
I don't like Tottenham. I go into that stadium at Tottenham and I think it's too nice. I remember the first 2 or 3 games I went there, it was just people I were with were saying, wow, I was in this banquet hall, wonderful. And isn't this, I'm like, no, this isn't football. So for me, the stadium thing, I would be interested in Everton if it were playing on a pitch next to Goodison Park. I would stay in Goodison Park forever. But investors clearly are supportive, because when we talk about the capital that I have to buy the club, the capital that I've shown I have the ability personally to deploy to make a squad better, I do think I can take this squad well beyond its current level of competitiveness alone. But let's face it, we don't want Everton just to be bouncing around 8th place forever. We want to win a title, right? To win a title, you need serious capital. And I've always been very good at accessing it in my life. And that stadium is huge in that respect. One of the neatest features is this glass VIP room that allows you to sell tickets to stand right down in the tunnel with the player and the interview space. Like, that stuff's amazing from a capital perspective. From the fans' perspective, if it's important to the fans, it's important to me. If they're proud of it, I'm proud of it. Yeah, I don't know. Great place. A great place. I don't think that's the way you should watch football, but if that's what brings investors, it brings sponsors, it brings naming rights, which bring the economics that allow you to be a better club, well, then yeah, it's pivotal.
Fascinating, wasn't it? Right, next up for Everton in the Premier League is Aston Villa on the Saturday Night Football. That's from 5 p.m. on Sky Sports Premier League.